This video I'm out in the wild and we're going to be testing two things. I've finally put a new clutch in this 124. I'm going to do a 0 to 60 test on it, and I want you to keep an eye on something quite closely. This is a 6mm build with HX30. They make loads of torque and mid-range, but just look at how little smoke comes out of this thing. Are we starting? Yeah. Right, so I'm back with my future island investment and I'm fixing it up because there's a guy coming to buy it this weekend. Now, what I'm actually doing is I'm putting a new clutch in because, as you saw last time when I was messing with this thing, I did the turbo and the pump and the engine and pinned the crank and the intercooler and all kinds of things in the downpipe, but the clutch was slipping, wasn't it? So we couldn't dyno it, we couldn't find out what power it was, and I had to put in the advert when I was selling it, it's going to need a clutch because I was totally sick of it. Well, I have regained some inspiration and I'm ready to put a clutch in this bad boy. Now, I've only just started taking it apart and I haven't found too many things that are terrible. So the guy in the last video, it probably felt like I was having a bit of a go at him unnecessarily. I did have to fix a lot of stuff, but this mount that he's made, it's not too bad. So I'll give him a thumbs up for that one. That's not too bad. The exhaust system, it had a flexi here, which I didn't really like, but it's functional. I've already whipped the exhaust off, and what we're doing is we're whipping the box out of, well, we're whipping this C-Class. I think it's a C-Class, a C220 6-speed Mercedes box out. Now, I don't like these boxes for a number of reasons. One is because they don't have a speedo provision, but you can't, there are no decent modern boxes that have a speedo provision to put into a 124. And if you don't know what I mean by that, basically the W124 has a speedo drive, a mechanical speedo drive, so it spins a speedo cable. And it takes that from the back of the gearbox. It's quite an old-fashioned idea. A lot of old cars used to have it. And the modern gearboxes like these and the BMW gearboxes and things that we put in them, they don't have any provision. So you have to put a GPS speedo in, or you have to do something that mechanically drives the back of the cluster. He's used the GPS speedo. So that's one reason, but the main reason I don't like them is the shifter assembly on the Mercedes 6-speed is crap. It has like this detent, you can see it from here, if you come around the back here. They have like two different methods of shifting. They have a cable which does the lefty-righty on the lever, and then they have a rod which does the forward and back. And you can see that this is all quite tightly packed up in there, and it just sort of squeezes around the drive shaft. It's a really tight fit. But they don't have a reverse detent in these boxes, so like a reverse lockout spring. So you can accidentally just go from, I think it's second to reverse or first to reverse very easily, which you can't on the BMs. The BMs have got a really nice clicky feel, which is why I generally put BM boxes in these. Let's get this thing stripped out, see what clutch is in there, because it's rattling and slipping and doing some horrible things, and I have a feeling I know what's going on and what's going wrong in there. I suppose, as the boss, while everyone's doing the nice jobs, it's time for me to get my hands dirty and get this horrible thing, this beautiful thing, in bits. We've got the gearbox back. You'll notice I haven't got the gearbox fully out of the way because the clutch pipe was nice and long and it allowed me to pull the box back without disconnecting the concentric slave, because these 722.6, no, that's an auto. These, I don't know the code numbers of Mercedes gearboxes because I'm not a sad wanker, but these 6-speed Mercedes gearboxes, oh yeah, there it is. Oh no, that's not, that's the part number. Oh look, and it says 211. So this is out of an E-Class, which is a fine quality car, a level above C-Class, which I don't allow into my workshop. But anyway, look at this. So, dual mass, and obviously a dual mass, as you may or may not know, basically rotates like this, and it allows some movement to take that rattle, the gear rollover rattle out of the gearbox, which it does beautifully. But I don't think that this is good. Look how it moves like that, and it's doing a lot of rattling. So I have to make the decision now. Oh, I did tighten that one. He tightened it with the, I think he tightened that with the breaker bar. I have to make the decision. Do I put in a budget clutch kit with an upgraded disc, which I wouldn't advise, but it's nice and light on the pedal. It's nice to drive. Or do I go performance clutch kit, which is nice to drive as in the take-up is good, it's not snatchy, but heavy on the pedal. And I hate heavy on the pedal. I think it's worth trying the budget bad boy out, seeing as I'm giving him this as a freebie anyway.
Or performance clutch kit with the lower rated sax.
Yeah. So like the, yeah.
So it's lighter on the foot.
Yes, that is an option. Let's have a look at what the disc looks like. It's coming out. It's coming out, lad. Oh, I've got clutch jizz all over my floor. Oh, that's weird. What's going on there? So we've got a sprung centered disc in a dual mass flywheel. That makes no sense. The point of having those springs is to give you that bit of flex. So that's really weird. That shouldn't be in there. And I'm going to say that this is probably not bolted down flat. I can't yet. I've got no torch. Somebody lost my torch.
Yeah, I've chased the order.
Are they Torx bolts?
I can't see on the camera because it's so dark.
You should never, what's that old saying, Egg? Never put your finger where you wouldn't put your...
Mouth.
No. Clutch options for the Mercedes 6-speed gearbox, dual mass style gearbox. We call that the Mercedes short shaft. So when you're on our website, that's what you need to be looking for, Mercedes Performance short shaft. And this is what we're looking at. So it's a short shaft because the bearing is actually in the flywheel. So the gearbox input shaft is shorter. So this is the original dual mass that was in it. Now, this is wrong. You should not be using this on the back of a 606. If you look at the back of here, you can see, I'll show you why. So the depth on the back of this dual mass is something like, let's say, it's hard to read because I'm just using a ruler, but let's say it's 10 mil. Well, the crank nose on the 606 is bigger than that. So what the naughty man has done is ground the crank nose, which is not really very good, is it? So if you look at this is a budget clutch kit if you go on my website, and these are how much?
150 plus that.
£150, and you get solid flywheel, pressure plate and drive plate for 150 quid. I must be mad. Must be mad. No, the real reason why these are cheap is because we buy them in massive bulk, so we can get the price right down. And the depth on the back of there is considerably deeper than 10 mil. So this is the cheap alternative option, but this may or may not be much stronger than the factory dual mass pressure plate. I do think that it will be stronger, but will it be enough to handle the mid-range torque of that HX30? Maybe, maybe not. So then that leaves us onto the performance kit. Now this performance kit is as old as this company. I've been using these in those cars for over 10 years. And this is like the go-to clutch that isn't going to slip, isn't going to break, and it's going to allow you to do as much horsepower as you could possibly imagine without even having to take it back apart. But these are more expensive because obviously it's a billet flywheel, which is all machined. There's two versions. There's one that accepts the factory ring gear, and that's like if you're using an EDC standalone controller and stuff. Or we do one where you get the ring gear included, you have the option on the drop down. Sachs Racing Performance cover, and then a heavy duty drive plate. And I think that lot comes to 950 as of the current pricing today. And that's not bad. I mean, you go and try and buy one of those. Remember, this is not Sachs, just normal Sachs. That is a normal Sachs cover. This is a Sachs Performance cover. Very different. And bizarrely, and it is bizarre, I had a couple of American followers comment on one of the pages saying, Sachs stuff's crap. And I'm like, what? That's like saying Porsche or Mercedes is crap. This stuff is really high-end German engineering stuff. It's not cheap. These are expensive covers which do not fail. They're very, very good. So don't know where that strangeness has come from. It might be like a market thing. There might be companies over in the US building clutch covers that promote that these are crap to sell theirs. That's usually the case. When you hear bullshit like that, it's usually someone is promoting something of their own. But anyway, I don't make these. These come from Sachs Performance, and they're very expensive and they're very good. So that is the best option at £950. Now there is one other option, which is, as I pointed out, so this cover is off a performance BMW. I think it's the old M5. And this is like a performance, like a racy version to go into a normal M5. Well, that in there is the normal M5 one, which is strong anyway because they were a powerful engine. So that's another option. So you can use that. I think that's about 100 quid cheaper. If it were me and it was my car, I'd put up with a bit of a heavy pedal because the drivability is still good, and I would go straight for this performance kit. I wouldn't even mess around with anything in between because I know full well that I'm going to be able to clutch kick the hell out of that for years to come, and that is going to last. This awesome budget option, if your power level is low and you don't have any massive aspirations, and it's a nice heavy flywheel so it makes things smooth, dual mass is just no good. If you're digging around in scrap bins and you're getting stuff for free, it makes sense to use something like that, but you're going to have to grind the crank or machine the back of that. You're better off with that for 150 quid if you go in budget. So yeah, I say lower power stuff, budget is great. Higher power stuff, like even a really spicy lot of fuel going into a stock turbo, which is going to make a massive torque spike, I would say you're beyond these and you're into these. So what am I going to use? Well, as this is a freebie, the customer doesn't even know that I'm going to give him this is a bonus. I am tempted to put in my budget clutch kit with the performance disc out of one of these, which you can do. So you can ask for a budget clutch kit, which is 150, and upgrade the plate in it, which is an additional 100 on top to the plate out of the performance kit. Because at least then, even if the clutch slips, you won't rip the center out the disc with the power that you've got. I'm tempted to put that in this. Then it will keep the light pedal. I'm not having to spend a fortune because this stuff's really expensive. The guy's getting a nice freebie, and it's safe because that I know that crankface will sit against the back of the engine, so it's safe. Does that sound like a good idea? I think it does. This is a 6mm pump build. It's meant to be mild and nice and drivable. Didn't really want to go heavy pedal in it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Budget clutch kit, performance disc, and let's see if it handles the power. Let's see if it slips. And we might even be able to dyno this thing. So remember, we spoke about this on my adapter video. Loctite, the spinny bits, copper grease, the solid bit. Yeah? We remember that, don't we? Loctite, the spinny bits. And what don't we use? What's dangerous and we don't use them? Flywheel adapters. We don't use adapters that spin at high speed because we like our
Legs.
There we go, yeah. The torch. The job is done. Gearbox is back in, and we've decided on the budget bad boy clutch kit and a performance friction disc, a budget option with an upgrade. And I've adjusted the gear linkage, I put all that back together, so we should be good to go. After retightening the engine mounts, had made a slight adjustment to the exhaust, gave a few little things a clean under there and gave it a check under there as well, just to make sure everything's looking good. So hopefully, I'll fire this up and the clutch will clear. This is fingers crossed. Do I close the bonnet? If I close the bonnet, I've got a feeling it won't start and the battery will be flat because it's been sat outside for so long. I'm not going to curse it. I'm going to do it with the bonnet up. Oh, she started. So this is 4 hours later. Gearbox out, back in. Clutch. Will it work? Feels good. Oh, look at that. It's almost as if I've done that before. What's it? Right, road test time. Road test time, road test time. Don't run over everything in the workshop. Get in then. I love that gear knob. They're always smooth when the gearbox oil is cold because it's thicker and it stops gear rattle. So obviously you should always run your clutch in for 80,000 miles. What you just experienced there is something called valve float. The exhaust gas pressure gets too high and it basically causes the exhaust valves not to be able to close properly because the hydraulic lifters get jacked up. Now, if the oil is very hot and the engine's hot, it's much less likely for that to happen. So hot oil helps a lot. You want to be running 5W40 fully synthetic. You don't want anything thicker than that because obviously that's just going to promote that problem. At first we had a little bit of slippage on the clutch when it was first put in, but for a budget bad boy, you know, that's 250 quids with a clutch. This thing's probably making 300 horsepower. It feels feisty and I'm fairly impressed with it. It has got strong springs in the disc, in the friction disc. So we are getting a little bit of gear rattle at idle. So you'll see what I mean by that. If I just take my foot off the clutch, listen. You hear that rattle? That's obviously the gear rollover sound, and that's what the dual mass is designed to remove. But obviously the dual mass couldn't handle the power. So shall we see what sort of 0 to 60 we can achieve with this beaut? Go. That was terrible. That was terrible. Was that actually 7.7 seconds or is that still calculated? I think I was wheel spinning for a full second. It's just wheel spinning. That's worse.
Terrible.
It was worse, 7.8. The tyres on this are pretty shredded on the back, which isn't really helping anything, unfortunately. So if I just second gear, if I just roll it in second gear, as it comes on to boost, actually it did grip that time. Right, foot flat down. Right, so to conclude this 124 clutch changing video, what have we learned? Well, what we've learned is the 275 horsepower pump, 6mm version, made 261 on this car, which is not bad, isn't it? I mean, we didn't check the fuel pressure. We've no idea what state the tank's in, so I think that's pretty reasonable. The HX30 performed really nice. The HX30 and the manifold are clearly overperforming the pump. We're getting pretty much, well, no smoke at wide open throttle. So that's a good thing. It's a nice clean tune. And we know it's healthy and the clutch isn't slipping, as can be seen from the dyno. You're going to ask what the numbers were, so 261 horsepower at the engine, 227 at the wheel, 279 pounds-feet, and the boost pressure was, if we average it out, about 1.9 bar, which is high, isn't it? And that's with the factory wastegate. That is with the standard HX30 wastegate. That hasn't been fiddled with at all. And we're all pleased to know that it's not passing oil anymore since I took the breather pipe out. So there you go. A little 124 video where I've changed the clutch, dynoed it, 0 to 60 tested it, and made you a nice video all in one day. Bye.